Hi folks, a little bit of a different scenery today because I normally sit there and you see that all the time. Only seen a bit of it this time. The video today is a response to a question somebody asked when, you know, what happened when I first started and what bands influenced me. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because it'll go on for flipping ever. But really for me, Goth started a lot later in life. I think I was Goth from right at the beginning. And I remember as a child going probably weekly, whatever, about this size or I'd go with my grandmother to the churchyard to tend the grave of my grandfather. And it was one of my favourite things to do was to go to the graveyard. So very early on I was doing that sort of thing. And then whatever I did in life, always sort of took the darker side and always liked the darker things. But lots of things in life steer in different directions. And I left school, and school was somewhere beginning of the 60s when I left. Just coming into the hippie period. So yeah, I quite liked a lot of what was going on. And at that time there wasn't a lot of darkness that I sort of found in bands and that, but so I liked a lot that was going around. And then as we sort of got towards the end of the 60s, I sort of put that to one side, and even with the hippie sort of period, I remember when my friend and I decided that's it. We got a little coffin and put the stuff in it and burnt it. So there was even the Goth influence there that we felt we had to cremate this stuff. Then what was around, I sort of went through a period of Hell's Angel. And then through circumstances I went into the army for 2 years, came out, and then into a career, so I had to have a career, so that was directing me in different directions. But if I look back at bands that influenced me, right at the very beginning, I think the very first album I ever bought, I'm not sure, was Killer by Alice Cooper. And why I liked it, because it was totally flipping different. His look was different, his look was radical and everything, and especially for those days. So Alice Cooper had a really big influence on me. But saying that, I think he probably came a little bit later. No, I think way before that, because I'm getting my timeline wrong, but it must have been Jimi Hendrix. Not Goth or anything, but he was totally new to the scene, totally flipping different. The music was totally flipping different. So I loved that, and I loved his album, Electric Ladyland. Fantastic music on there. Alice Cooper, like I said, I love Killer, I love Skulls Out album and all those. They were a big influence on me. I remember round at that time there was, can't remember his second name, is it Arthur Smith? He said this flipping, looked very pagan and everything. And what I remember about him, he did some at one day and his all his headdress and that caught fire. Well, that was pretty flipping unique, wasn't it? So there was people like that, and I went through a period of Led Zeppelin and all those that as they come along. Where I lived, although it was a city, and Goth was being born or regenerating into something new, and it was sort of coming from the punk. Where I lived, it was a strange kettle of fish really, because whatever we were, we all went to the same place. And at that time I was more into heavy rock, so there'd be heavy rockers, there'd be new wave, there'd be punks, whatever, we was all together, and it was really bloody good because we shared each other's tastes of different music and all that, and we'd talk about it, and it was good. There was no animosity, whether it was punk, heavy rock, whatever it was. And I remember at that time, although it was a big scene goth-wise, I can only remember ever seeing anyone that looked goth. Probably about 3 people that sort of looked the typical goth. And I think there's a hell of a lot around. It's just that at that time in the 80s, although they might have been called goth, we'd have gone, punks. And if you look back at lots of the clubs back in the 80s, they did look very punky. It was a gradual changeover, and for me, what was the real goth look didn't really register for a long time later. So I went along the heavy rock scene, but whatever I did, it was always the darker side of it. I never really liked the little twee rockers and the nicey sort of stuff. It was always the darker side of ones, and again, one of my first albums was Sabbath, Black Sabbath, and I think I got 2 or 3 of their albums, and I really loved it. It was all of a sudden there was this darkness and everything to it. So, but then, like I said, a career come along and everything, and then for a very long time, being married and having children and a career, all this stuff just to one side. That's why I often say to goths, that young ones that are going, oh, goth this, oh, goth that, oh, you can't be at that. Yes, you can, because you might be gothier than anybody, but somewhere in life, your life might have to change and go down a slightly different route for a few years while your career's going and everything. Because there's not a lot of big careers that you're going to walk into and they're going to say, yeah, great, come in like that. So you've got a choice. Am I goth inside? And that's what matters. And do I have to do this for myself and my family and everything? And a career and whatever else in life you want? Or do you say, well, sod that, I'm going to look like this and get nowhere? So sometimes you have to go along different tracks. But really, that was my birth of goth and everything, in a way. So there was, right from a child, there was a thread of it running through. And I always felt it. But it wasn't till a lot later in life when it all dawned on me. And like I said, although I was heavy rock and very dark heavy rock, it was sort of like a goth looking like an heavy rocker. It just dawned on me one day, hang on, I should be sitting over there with that lot. I'm in the wrong lot. And that's when the light lit up and I sort of moved over there, and it wasn't sort of going to that. I just moved over there, and that's when you suddenly felt at home and you started doing all the things you should have been doing for flipping years. That's how it goes sometimes. There's not a lot you can do about it sometimes. So if I look back to the 80s, people go, oh, the 80s, it's got to be goth, you've got to be the 80s and everything. Well, to me, no, because the 80s weren't goth. Even some of the bands that I hear people say now, oh, yeah, goth. I wouldn't call, I was there in the 80s, I wouldn't have called goth. Probably come under some other genre that crept in, goths crept them in, but they weren't particularly goth at the time. They didn't look goth, and they didn't go around saying, hey, I'm goth. So really my music, without going into all of the shebang, I looked at a little bit at the beginning, all did go along the heavy metal scene and that, which was for years, but on the darker side. So yeah, sometimes goths are born into it and grow up in a goth family. Sometimes they come into it when they get to school and see friends. Some might just start work and they come across college that are, some other dodos like me don't let it sink in until you probably get older in life and you haven't got all these other trappings, and now I can do what the flipping heck I like. Because apart from having the ability to do what the hell I like, people look at me and go, yeah, that bloody age, he can do what the hell he likes. They don't flipping care. So yeah, it's not that exciting really. My roots were there in one thing that gradually filtered through other things. And to be honest, lots of goths might not agree with me, but probably coming in it that way, it enriches your life a hell of a lot more. I've got a lot of richness from lots of other things in life on the way, so I can be a goth and I can appreciate lots of other stuff around. And if I'd been goth right from that word go, I'm sure I would have been going, no, look, 80s goth, this goth, that's goth, blah-de, blah-de, blah. But when you come in a different way, you see all these other areas as you're going along, and you realise how rich they are, and they bring things. And that's what life's about. It's diversity. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And although lots of probably goths don't want to admit it, they are a little bit of all sorts. And even the most ardent that go, oh no, you're not gothic, you catch them unawares, they'll be bloody whistling something else. You go and look in their room, you'll find something else. You find them somewhere else, they'll be doing something else. They go out at night with their mates, they'll be doing something else. It's not quite as bloody goth as people want to make out. So I'd say for anyone out there that has come into goth later in life, that always felt it but never knew where to shift, don't be unhappy about that. Don't feel that you're any less goth than anyone else. It's just that life took you in directions and eventually you did find it. So yeah, we've had some really nice flipping weather lately. The weather today is pretty. It was really nice the other day, shirt sleeve. Today it's flipping shirt sleeve and coat. But I was out there and I can never remember this name because I don't use this name, but for the sake of this I'm going to use this name. Let's have a look. Paula for life. Hello, Paula for life. We was talking and we were hoping for some snow. Ain't we, Paula for life? As we know. But yeah, folks, that's where I started, that's the way I went along, and I don't want to go into the flipping whole shebang of it because you'd be bored flipping stupid, which you probably are now. But maybe lots of you come along the same track I came, and I would hazard a guess lots of you did creep in from other genres and subcultures and whatever. But you're all here now, so welcome, have fun. Don't do bugger all that I would do. Don't frigging do anything that I would do, because you'll be me. Be yourself, just enjoy life. Be goth, be dark. See you later.